Hey guys, welcome to this full course on UiPath. This video will cover the core topics of UiPath. UiPath is a leading robotic process automation tool built for both business and IT. UiPath is a tool for large-scale end-to-end automation. For an accelerated business change, it provides solutions for businesses to automate office routine activities. So if you are interested in RPA and its tools like UiPath, then you are in the right place. This full course on UiPath will help you understand the concepts of UiPath. So here is a list of topics covered. First, we will understand what is UiPath, its features and architecture. Then we will move on and see the UiPath installation and install UiPath Community Edition. Followed by installation, we will in detail understand the core component of UiPath, that is the UiPath Orchestrator. In this, we will see how to connect the robot with the orchestrator. After that, we shall understand the Robotic Enterprise framework, followed by which we will explore Excel automation using UiPath, in which we will create charts and graphs in Excel and learn how to upload them on the drive. Proceeding further, we will see how RPA is used across different domains in different fields, exploring real-time use cases and examples. And lastly, we will look at some of the frequently asked UiPath interview questions and answers to crack the interview. I'm sure you're excited to get started with the full course. But before we begin, make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and clicked on the bell icon so you never miss an update from Simplilearn. Let's get started with what is UiPath. UiPath is a robotic process automation tool for large-scale end-to-end automation. For an accelerated business change, it provides solutions for business to automate routine office activities. It uses a variety of methods to transform tedious tasks into automated process. Daniel Dines and Maria Stirka, Romanian entrepreneurs, founded UiPath in Bucharest in 2005. The first UiPath desktop automation product line was launched in 2013, giving business RPA tools to automate manual and repetitive back-office tasks. Let's look at the features of UiPath. Drag and drop workflow. The user of UiPath will develop visual process steps by dragging and dropping related tasks onto the graphical workspace. Then with the user interface properties, they can transform those process steps into a visual workflow. Users may also use the recorder wizard in the UiPath tool to build web-based or application workflows. The next feature is record and playback. The user can use this function to record actions and transform them into automated process series. UiPath has the following types of recording options. Basic recording. It focuses on automating single tasks and is commonly used to develop each activity's complete selector. Desktop recording. It can be used for a variety of actions as well as actions development. Web recording. It is a common tool for viewing and recording web page activities. Citrix recording. It is very widely used for recording stuff like pictures and virtualized environment automation. Next we have inbuilt activities in UiPath. UiPath comes with over 300 built-in activities covering a wide range of process automation and application integration design tasks. These activities are found in the Activities pane, which covers most design tasks such as data extraction, data entry, and automation. Next we have advanced scraping options. Scraping data from web pages and applications is easier with UiPath screen scraping. Furthermore, the data screen scraping wizard helps in scraping of data with a repetitive structure. Scraping solution works flawlessly with any program, including .NET, Java, Flash, PDF, Legacy, and SAP. Next we have high security and robustness. We can create super smart durable robots with UiPath. With a simple visual canvas, everyone in the company can use bots. UiPath offers high security auto login functionality to run the bots and operates with a locked screen, allowing automated process to run in complete privacy. Let's look at the components of UiPath. The first component we have UiPath Studio, UiPath Robot, and UiPath Orchestrator. Let's look at them one by one. This is how a UiPath Studio looks like. UiPath Studio is a user-friendly interface inside the tool that allows user to visually plan and design various automation processes through diagrams using drag and drop functionality. These diagrams are merely a structural reflection of specific tasks that must be completed. This is the activity pane in the UiPath Studio. It consists of project, activities, and snippets. This is the ribbon tab. It consists of saving options, opening new files, debugging files, recording screen scraping, data scraping, and many more. We will explore this in the demo section. Next we have output pane, where output is being displayed. And we have the properties pane, where the properties of each activity is shown here. The next component is UiPath Robot. After you have built your process, the next move is to put into action in the UiPath Studio. UiPath robots are used to translate the process into tasks, which are then executed. These robots are used to assign various tasks and carry them out in the same manner as humans, but without human interference. When given operation occurs on the computer, UiPath robots are programmed to begin executing tasks automatically. Next we have UiPath Orchestrator. The Orchestrator is a web-based application in UiPath. It has features like deploying, monitoring, scheduling, and controlling automated bots and processes. It's a centralized forum for managing and controlling all software bots. Let's look at the architecture of UiPath. It consists of two sections, the client side and the server side, and the three layers. Let us look at them one by one. We will first look at the client side and the server side. Client-side UiPath components are those that the user or developer can communicate with directly. UiPath Studio, UiPath Robot, Browser, and UiPath Agent are usually included. UiPath's backend operation are considered server-side. The tasks and workflows that a user produces are saved in the databases. UiPath Orchestrator chooses the necessary function and the software robots to carry out the code's task. The robot's logs and statistics are stored in the backend. Logs are useful for analyzing robot performance and detecting errors in them. The two elements comprise the UiPath robot, agent support for UiPath and the executor service for UiPath. The agent support for UiPath is a service in UiPath that serves as the mediator between the client side and the server side of UiPath. All of the information and data are conveyed via the handler. Messages are also logged into the orchestrator before being moved to the SQL server. The service can be used to search all of the currently available tasks in the device tray. It also can change device settings and start and stop the current task. Executor service for UiPath. In this, the software robots use this service to carry out the task specified in the window session. Now let us look at the three layers. First one is the presentation layer. These UiPath components that are open to the users make up the client layer. UiPath Studio, robots, browsers, UiPath agent, and executors. For example, a user or a developer may use these components to design and create different tasks that can be automated. Computer robots are commonly used to complete these tasks. The client layer is another name for the presentation layer. Let us look at the service layer, the UiPath's architecture's most significant sheet. The cloud layer shows all server information. The UiPath Orchestrator is the most significant part of the server layer. When the robots can perform the task, the entire project is periodically uploaded to the server. Within the aid of an orchestrator, the project is often carried out through several structures. The orchestrator is in charge of the whole band. It keeps track of the project development, schedules software robots for execution, and produces summary reports based on the filtered parameter. It assists in the synchronization of software robots so that they can continue to perform routine tasks. It helps our project meet project requirements, service levels, and deadlines, thanks to its web-based management system. Now let us look at the persistence layer. Database servers make up the bulk of this sheet. During this layer, all of the robots' configuration information is saved. Users insert data, robots, assign tasks, logging information, and assets, among the other items, into the orchestrator's configuration details. Furthermore, persistency layer is in charge of keeping the log information updated by the UiPath agent services. Elasticsearch is used to store these logs. The logs are primarily useful for locating and correcting errors. Process level data is usually saved in relational database management systems such as SQL Server. This makes processing logs from the vast volume of data a lot simpler. Hence, the queues tasks are often taken care by the persistency layer. Let's look at some of the applications of UiPath. In sales UiPath is used to generate invoice. This is an example of data replication in action. Both CRM and accounting systems must have the same sales details. Bots can update accounting records, prepare and send invoices from the appropriate email addresses instead of manually replicating data. It is also used in keeping scorecards up to date. Companies that do not have HR and CRM systems integrated can use RPA bots to ensure that CRM adjustments are submitted to scorecards in real time, allowing sales reps to track their progress. It is used in CRM updating. A new class of solution is evolving to incorporate their email, call, and other contact data into CRM. A simple bot could be written to update your CRM records with customer contact information if you can't find a suitable solution for using the CRM systems. Next, it is used in banking. In banking, it is used to check KYC. Though dedicated KYC solutions are evolving, RPA bots can be used to automate portions of the KYC process if your organization does not want to use one. A case may be referred to an employee in the event of an edge case that requires human involvement. It is used in sanction of loans. Like most document process activities, this method is appropriate to RPA automation because complex business logic can be embedded in bots, which can partially automate loan decisions and the manual process that follow. It is used in execution of trade. RPA bots may be useful in situations where legacy systems are incapable of storing complex limit orders. However, this is more a band-aid solution. In the long run, switching to a sophisticated and competent trading system will certainly be a smart investment, considering how it could increase trading and minimize trader workload. Next, it is used in healthcare. In healthcare, it is used for appointment scheduling. The RPA bot makes appointment for patient based on their diagnosis, doctor availability, location, and other factors such as financial statement and insurance details. It is used in supporting analytics to improve patient treatment. RPA bots may collect a variety of medical information. RPA bots, for example, can use patient data to a third-party healthcare analytics provider to provide more reliable diagnosis and better patient care without violating any confidentiality regulations. Let's look at the benefits of UiPath. Increase productivity. UiPath automates with quick speed and accessibility. Consider an RPA bot that allows a worker to produce a monthly report in 20 minutes instead of manually taking 4 hours. The company's productivity could increase as a result of process automation. Next, we have high efficiency. RPA software does not need a break. It can operate 24 hours a day. A single RPA robot may replace 2 to 5 full-time workers. If not more, robots can do the same amount of work in less time or more work at the same time than humans. Customer experience. In RPA-adopted business, routine and repetitive and boring tasks are assigned to robots, allowing employees to focus more on customer service. Company may meet consumer needs with the help of professional and knowledgeable employees. Highly secure. There is no risk of information leakage from one component to another because it performs single tasks. As a result, data access is strictly monitored and reported. Cost effective. UiPath has minimal operating cost and more efficient use of IT resources. Let's look at the top companies hiring UiPath developers. Infosys, IBM, Deloitte, EY, KPMG, Tata, Tech Mahindra, and Capgemini. Let's look at the salary trends for UiPath developers. The average pay scale for a UiPath developer in India is 5,45,000 rupees. UiPath developers' salary ranges from 362,000 rupees to 1 million. In USA, the UiPath developer salary ranges from $58,000 to $107,000, and the average salary is $76,000. Let's look at a demo. Consider a scenario where you have multiple Excel files you want to combine the data in single file. In this demo, we will merge two Excel files into a single Excel file and send it over an email. Let's create automation to merge two Excel files using UiPath. From here, we can open a new project or existing project stored locally or on version control system. With a click, we can open a new project or create a new project from a template. UiPath offers many templates depending on what you are trying to do. For now, let us start with a blank project. So we'll open a blank project here. So we'll open a main workflow. Then we'll go to new and select a new sequence. We can do it using a flowchart as well, but for now I'll show you doing a sequence. So we'll open the sequence and we'll name the sequence. Since we are merging two files, I'll name it as merging files and I'll create it. So we'll go to the activities pane. Firstly, we need to drag and drop a read CSV activity. So search for read CSV. So drag and drop read CSV activity. Since we are using two Excel files, so we need two read CSV activities. And read from the file, we need to select the file location. So we'll select the file location, sample CSV file 1. And at the file 2, we'll select another file location, sample CSV file. At the output side, we'll create a variable and name it as sl_file1. Similarly, for another read CSV, we'll create a variable and name it as sl_file2. So this much is done. Now we need an assign activity. So we'll search for assign activity. So we'll drag and drop. Assign activity has two parameters, to and enter an expression. So in the to, we'll create a variable, name it as merged SL. And in the expression, write an expression, say SL_file1 dot clone. Why are we using a clone function? The clone function creates a new data table with same structure but does not copy the data. Oops, it's showing an error here. So what's the error? So we need to assign the variable type to be system.data.data table. Here we go. The error has gone. So after using the assign activity, we need to merge the data table. So we need merge data table activity. So search for merge data table. Here we go. Drag and drop it. We need two merge data table activities. So drag and drop. And specify the destination and source here. The destination is the merged SL. And the source is the SL_file1 for the first data merge table. Similarly, for second merge data table, destination remains same. Source will change to SL_file2. So this is done. So next we need to drag and drop a write CSV file. Write CSV file creates an output file in which you want to merge the two files. So search for write CSV. Here we go, drag and drop it. So choose the path, create the file. So you can see there is no output file here. So we'll create the output file now, which is an empty file. So output.csv. So we have created an output file. So right from, we'll write it as merged SL. We need the data from merged SL. So the output file is created. So now we need to send the file over an mail. So for that we need to drag and drop a get password activity. So we'll search for get password activity. Here we go. Drag and drop it. And once you get this get password activity, enter the password here. Enter your password, email ID password. So there is a prerequisite when you use get password. To receive a mail, go to your Google account. In Google account, go to your security option, and in security there is an option called less secure app access. Turn that on. I'll repeat, turn on the less secure app access. Okay. Once the get password is done, go to the result section. In the result section, right click and create a variable. Name it something, maybe SSS. So I've created a variable there. So we need a last activity now. That is SMT mail message. SMTP mail message. Drag and drop it. So in the host, port and enter the server. So the server, you have to enter it as smtp.gmail. All should be in the double quotes. smtp.gmail.com, and enter the port number as 587 and enter your email ID here, which is your own email ID. I'll enter mine. Once you enter the email ID, enter the password what we had created. So that's done. So enter the email ID here. Enter the subject, whatever you want. So I'll enter it as merged data, merged Excel files. Enter the body. So we'll attach the file. So what is the file which we are attaching here? So we are attaching the output file. What we have named it as output.csv file. So that's it. We'll run the program. We'll run the code. Sample execution has started. And within the 10 seconds, sample execution has ended. So we'll go and check if we have received the mail. So this is my email ID. Here we go. We have received the email here. Let's open this. Let's open the output file. Here we go. You can see the data is being merged. And if you go to the file where the documents were stored, here you go. These were the two files, the sample file 1 and sample file 2, and this is the merged file which was created. Let me show you the sample file 1 and sample file 2. So this is the sample file 1 with 10 rows, and this is sample file 2 which also has 10 rows. So this is file 2 with 10 rows and file 1 with 10 rows. And here we go. This is the output file which has both 10 rows merged here. Here we go. It is sent over and mail. So that's it. It was an example, a demo for better understanding of UiPath. In this video, we will be looking at the installation of UiPath. So let us see the requirements. We will first look at the hardware requirements. The CPU should at least have a processor of 1.4 GHz 32-bit configuration, or it's recommended to have a 1.8 GHz 64-bit configuration. The device is recommended to have a RAM of 8 GB, if not at least a minimum of 4 GB. Let us look at the software requirements. If you are using a Windows operating system, then Windows should be of version 8.1 or 8.1N or 10 or 10N, and the Windows Server should be of 2012 R2, 2016 or 2019 versions. Another prerequisite is to have .NET Framework of minimum of 4.5.2 version installed. Let us look at the editions. The different editions that UiPath offers. UiPath offers two types of editions, Community Edition and Enterprise Edition. Community Edition is for the developers and small teams who are just starting on their automation journey. The Enterprise Edition is further classified into three types, Enterprise Studio Edition, Enterprise Cloud Edition, and Enterprise Server Edition. So Enterprise Studio Edition is for individual enterprise developers who want to experiment with UiPath Studio. Enterprise Cloud is a cloud-based deployment of entire RPA enterprise platform for any size business. Enterprise Server on-premises deployment for entire enterprise automation platform for large-scale business. Let us look at the different profiles in UiPath. UiPath Studio X, UiPath Studio, and UiPath Studio Pro. UiPath Studio X is for business users. If you're not a developer, but if you want to automate a simple task, then it is easy to use a Studio X. UiPath Studio. It is for RPA developers. Build complex automation that is run by attended or unattended robots. UiPath Studio Pro. It is for the specialized developers. Automate with AI, advanced RPA features, testing tools, and sophisticated coding services. So we will look at the installation. Let us install UiPath. Go to any one of the browser and search for uipath.com. This will take you to the official UiPath website. Here you can see try UiPath for free. Click here. Since I have already registered before, it is showing as continue to existing organization. If you're visiting this website for the first time, then you might have to register or sign in using an email account. After signing in and filling all the details, you can continue. Here you can see download UiPath Studio. Click on this and download the UiPath Studio. Here you go, the UiPath Studio setup file is getting downloaded. Once the UiPath file is downloaded, run the setup file, and here you can see the UiPath is getting installed. After installation, it will ask for a license. Select Community License, which is free. After selecting the license, you need to choose a profile. There are three profiles: UiPath Studio Pro, which is the Advanced Studio IDE. It has features like testing tools, advanced RPA features, and coding services. Another profile is UiPath Studio. It is for developers who have prior programming experience. And the last profile is the UiPath Studio X. It is for the people who don't have any programming experience. So we will select UiPath Studio X for now. Next, UiPath will ask you to update the channel. You can either select the stable version or preview version. We will select the stable version for now. After you select the versions, you need to select the source control plugins. You can enable Git version control system or Apache Subversion and Azure DevOps Server. UiPath provides a short introduction video tutorials to learn how to build automations following step-by-step instructions, and an academy to take free training on the UiPath Academy. So that's it. You have successfully installed UiPath Studio. From here, you can open a new project, new template, and start building the first automation. What is UiPath Orchestrator? UiPath Orchestrator is a web application that allows you to orchestrate the execution of repetitive business process by UiPath robots. Orchestrator manages the creation, monitoring, scheduling, and controlling of automated bots and process. It serves as a point of integration for third-party solutions and applications. It's a centralized forum for managing and controlling all software bots. It can manage the entire robot fleet. Let's look at the orchestrator capabilities. Provisioning. Provisioning establishes and maintains the connection between the robots and the web application. Deployment. Deployment ensures that the correct package versions are delivered to the assigned robots for execution. Configuration. Configuration looks after the maintenance and delivery of the robot environments and process configuration. Queues. Queues ensures that the workload is distributed automatically across robots. Monitoring. Monitoring manages user permissions and keeps track of robot recognition details. Logging. Logging logs are stored and indexed in a SQL database. Interconnectivity. Interconnectivity functions as a centralized contact point for third-party solutions or applications. Let's look at the orchestrator use cases. The strength of UiPath Orchestrator comes from its ability to control the entire robot fleet. Let's look at the different use cases. The first is attended. This type of robot is activated by user events and operates at the same workstation as a human. Orchestrator is used with attended robots to provide a centralized process deployment and logging medium. Unattended. In virtual environments, robots can run unattended and automate a variety of processes. The orchestrator is in charge of remote execution, control, scheduling, and support for work queues in addition to the attended robot capabilities. Studio or Studio X. They have unattended robot capabilities, but it should only be used to connect your Studio or Studio X to the orchestrator for creation purposes. Non-production. Robots are similar to unattended robots, but they can only be used for research and development. Attended, unattended, non-production, Studio, and Studio X robots can all be operated from a single location. Let's look at the orchestrator user interface. Dashboard enables us to see charts and statistics illustrating usage information for all the orchestrator components like process, assets, queues, schedules, robots, jobs, and transactions. Let's look at the tenant context. To view and control the tenant level entities in your orchestrator, pick tenant from the sidebar menu. With only one instance of the orchestrator, multi-tenancy allows you to isolate data. These features help you to automate various departments within your organization, while also ensuring that orchestrator data is approved according to your preferences. Please bear in mind that all of the information is contained in the same database. Let's look at the components one by one. Robots. A robot is an execution host that runs UiPath Studio process. You can add robots, edit them, display their status and license state, adjust the environment they are assigned to, and change their runtime settings on the robots tab. You can also see the logs that a single robot has created. Process can be downloaded and executed automatically by robots using custom settings. While building or editing a robot, you can configure automatic process downloading, logging level, font smoothing, and resolution in the Settings tab. Folders. Folders give you a fine-grained control over automation and their associated organizations, as well as staff through the entire organization. In the orchestrator, there are two types of folders, Classic and Modern. Classic folders functionality is allowed by default, while Modern folders functionality must be enabled by the host or the tenant administrator. Users. A user is an individual with access-dependent capabilities whose view and control of the orchestrator are determined by the access rights granted. Users can be developed and managed either locally in the orchestrator or an external directory. Roles. In Orchestrator, the Roles tab help you to handle user permissions. The orchestrator view that a consumer has is defined by the role they have been assigned. A function allows you to control view, edit, create, and delete permissions on all orchestrator pages and modules. Machines. A machine page allows you to provision and control machines in preparation for registering robots with the orchestrator. It lists all of the machines that are currently in operation as well as their forms. It allows you to create your computer whether it's standard or a template. Packages. All projects published from UiPath Studio and those manually imported are displayed on the Packages tab. You can display all available versions of any package on the Packages tab, as well as their status, claims, and release notes if they are available. ML Skills. ML Skills retrieves and requests machine learning skills from the AI Fabric service. It authenticates the robot that is running the machine learning skills. Audit. The audit page shows the audit trail for all acts taken by orchestrator entities. Several criteria, including component, user, action, and time, can be used to filter the data on the audit page. Credential stores. A credential store is named location inside a safe store, such as CyberArk, where you can get robot credentials and credential assets when you need them. At the tenant stage, Orchestrator encourages the uses of several credential stores. Webhooks. Webhooks make it easier to integrate your UiPath automation with the rest of your app ecosystem. You can subscribe to the Orchestrator events and have them sent to the external DCM, BPM, or CRM solutions to notify various users about the new queue items that can be processed, cause failures, or process updates. License. Robot licensing is available both at the host and the tenant level in the orchestrator on the license list. This enables you to shorten your deployment time and handle activation from a single location. Within a single click, you can trigger, renew, delete, and delegate licenses. Alerts. Notifications for robots, queue objects, triggers, tasks, procedures, and activities are shown on the Alerts tab. You will receive updates from all of your folders on this tab, and you will not be able to choose more granular options. Alerts are sent in real time and can be categorized as info, success, warn, error, or fatal. Settings. You can adjust various settings on the Setting tab, including the time zone, email warning information, account information, package feeds, and interactive authentication. Now let us look with respect to the folder context. From the sidebar menu, pick any available folder to view and control the entities within that folder. Automations contains the following tabs: Process, Jobs, Triggers, and Logs. The process page allows you to build new process from uploaded packages, manage existing process, and keep all of your process up to date with the latest package versions. This allows you to spread packages through the entire organization users and robots and execute process more quickly from the Jobs task. Jobs. On an UiPath robot, a job represents the execution of a procedure. The execution of a job can be started in either attended or unattended mode. On attended robots, you can't run a job from the orchestrator, and they can't run under a locked computer. Triggers. Triggers allow you to run jobs in a predefined sequence, at predetermined intervals, and if new products are added to your queues. Logs. The Logs page shows you all of the robot logs in all of the folders you have access to. To access the Logs tab, you must have view permission on the logs. Logs are kept in the local database if the orchestrator is inaccessible. Monitoring. Monitoring contains the following tabs: Machines, Process, Queues, and SLA. Machines displays information about all the existing runtimes on an aggregate basis and allows you to check the overall health of each runtime. Process. The process page allows you to build new process from the uploaded packages. Managing existing process and keep all of your process up to date. Queues. A queue is a storage container that can accommodate an infinite number of objects. Multiple types of data, such as invoice information or customer information, may be stored in queue objects. Other systems such as SAP or Salesforce can be used to process this data. By default, the data stored in and output from the queue items is in free form. SLA displays SLA and risk SLA information for all queues in the current folder with SLA predictions allowed. This allows you to determine if the newly added queue items will be processed on time, and if so, what resources you will need to devote to ensure that their SLA is not violated. When the SLA is in danger of not being reached, you will be adequately informed so that you can make the required changes. Queues. Queues contains the following tabs: Queues and Review Request. In the Queues pages, click on the Review Request tab to show revision request. The page shows items in different queues that have been allocated for revision. Assets. Assets are usually shared variables or credentials that can be used through several automation projects. They allow you to store unique information that the robots can easily access. Storage buckets. RPA developers may use storage buckets to provide a per-folder storage solution when building automation projects. The storage buckets page shows you your current bucket configuration and allows you to build as many new storage buckets as you need. Testing. Testing contains the following tabs: Test sets, test cases, test execution, test schedules, and test data queues. Test set. A test set is a collection of any number of individual test cases, each intended to serve a specific function. The test sets page lists of you currently available test sets and allows you to build new tests, updating existing ones and run them. Test cases. The test cases page shows all of your test cases from all of your projects and app versions in one place. These are the test cases that are used in and to make up your test sets. Test executions. Your previously executed test sets and their information are shown on the Test Execution tab, since test sets are often subject to change. Test executions act as an immutable record of any given test set's execution at a given point in time. Test schedules allow you to run tests at predetermined intervals and in a scheduled manner. Test data queues. Using test data queues, you can store and manage your test data. The test data queue serves as a container for queue items that are ready to be consumed via various activities. The test data queue items are uploaded or deleted based on the first in, first out concept. Action catalogs. Task catalogs are task containers that allow you to categorize your task using a variety of criteria. The catalog where a task is stored is defined when the task is created using Studio's build type task operation. In Orchestrator, the catalog must be specified first. If you mention a catalog that has not been generated in Orchestrator, the task is created in Orchestrator without a catalog. Settings. Setting contains two tabs: Permissions and Machine. Permission. A user is an individual with access-dependent capabilities, whose view and control of the orchestrator are determined by the roles assigned to them. Users may be installed locally in the orchestrator or an external directory. Machines. You can use the Machines page to provision and manage system entities, which you can then use to bind UiPath robots to the orchestrator. It lists all of the machines that are currently in use, as well as their types. Machines are global tools, which means they can be accessed from any folder. Let's look at the demo. In this demo, we will see how to connect UiPath robot with the orchestrator, how to run workflow using the orchestrator. Let's go to the browser. In the browser, enter platform www.uipath.com. This will take you to the uipath.com website. If you have already an account, sign in, enter the password, click on sign in. Meanwhile, open the UiPath Assistant. So this is the UiPath Assistant. So UiPath Robot is a kind of representative which runs the workflow. So we create a workflow in the UiPath Studio, then we upload it on the Cloud Orchestrator, then we configure different robots to run this workflow. Now that we have logged in to the Orchestrator, go to the admin. So you need to click here to add tenant. For the UiPath Community Free Edition, you can add only one tenant. So I have already created a tenant. So this option is disabled for me. So when you click on the add tenant for the first time, the tenant window will be displayed. Then fill the tenant name, password and confirm the password. And it will ask you for name, surname and email address, which is optional. So after filling the details, click on provision. The tenant and the tenant admin are created and displayed in the tenants page. So as you can see, the tenant is created. There is an option here, users and groups. You can go to the users and you can see the different users. So this is my user, this is me. Now you can go to the groups and see the different groups allocated and their licenses. So now that we have created a tenant, I have named the tenant as admin. Let's open it. Meanwhile, you can open UiPath Assistant. Open UiPath Assistant. This is the UiPath robot. There are two different ways to connect a robot to the orchestrator. One is signing in the UiPath Assistant. It will get the token from the UiPath Orchestrator by user authentication and it will directly connect machine and the robot. And the other way is to manually connect. So we'll sign in. Enter the password. Now you can see here, robot is connected to the orchestrator. So when you sign in, the robot will get connected to the orchestrator. You can go here in the preferences. Go to the orchestrator settings and you can see here, connected and licensed. So let's go to the orchestrator. In the orchestrator, go to the tenant context. And here you can see the robot is connected. It's enabled. If you go to the machines, you can see the machine is also connected. So you can see here, there is an unattended robot here. So to get this unattended robot, what you have to do is go to the users, select the user which you are using. This is my username. Go to edit and here you should enable this unattended robot. Enable this option and enter the username. To get the username, you can open the command prompt and enter who am I. So you will get the username, copy paste the username, enter the password and click on update. And the unattended robot will get created. So that is how you create the unattended robot. Now that we have connected robot to the orchestrator, let's open the UiPath Studio. We'll create a workflow and then we'll run it using the robot. So now we have opened the UiPath Studio. Let's open a blank process. After opening the UiPath Studio, click on Open Main Workflow. First, we'll drag and drop a sequence. Then we need an input dialog box. We'll drag and drop an input dialog box. Enter a title. Let's say we'll enter it as UiPath Orchestrator. Enter the input label. We'll enter it as enter your name. Let the input type be as text box. Let's create a variable. Say we'll name it as name, and let the variable type be string and the scope is in the sequence scope. Now we have created the variable. So the value entered should be the variable name. Now we'll drag and drop a message box. The message should be displayed. So you enter a caption for the message, say be it welcome, and enter the text. Let's say hi, and we need to concatenate it with the variable name. We'll say thanks for watching this video. So here we go, we have created a workflow. Now we need to publish this in the orchestrator. So you can see an option here called publish. Click on the publish button. So you can see the package name, the version, the new version, and all the other things. Click on the publish button. So the workflow is successfully published. So the name is blank process 3 and version is 1.0.16. So let's go to the orchestrator. In orchestrator, go to the my workflow folder context. In this, go to my packages. If you go here, you can see, refresh it. So here you can see blank process 3, the process what we did now. It was published 3 minutes ago. Let's go to the process, and the version what we published was 1.0.16. So the name was blank process 3. Let's start the job. You can change the job priority. We'll keep it as normal. The other things is default, the process name and the job type. Let's execute this process one time. Click on start. As you can see, command send for blank process 3. So here you can see it is getting run. Here you can see it is asking for UiPath Orchestrator. What we entered the title and enter your name. Let's enter some name, say Sam. We'll click OK. So hi Sam, thanks for watching this video. Here you go, the message is being displayed. Like normally in UiPath Studio, we click on the run button and run the workflow, but here we have published it in the orchestrator, and through the orchestrator, through the robot, we are running it and the message is displayed. What is framework and its purpose? The framework is intended to serve as a blueprint for users to create processes that provide at a bare minimum a way to store, interpret, and easily change project configuration data, as well as robot exception handling scheme and event logging for all exceptions and related transaction information. The system logs messages at each relevant stage in the process of resolving a business transaction and sends those logs to the orchestrator server. This in turn can be linked to the ELK stack, which is Elasticsearch, Logstack, and Kibana platform, which allows for data storage and a variety of different ways to represent the data. The purpose of our framework is to resolve a set of business transactions. A transaction is a small amount of data and the steps needed to process it to complete a segment of business process. A process that reads a single email from a mailbox and extracts data from it is a good example. What is a business process? The sum of actions by which the data required for a series of transactions is collected, processed, and input into or out of an IT resource is referred to as a business process. We can classify business process into 3 groups based on the steps involved and how they are repeated. Linear. The steps of linear process are only done once, and if different data needs to be processed, the automation must be run again. Iterative. The steps of iterative process are repeated several times, but different data items are used every time. Transactional. Transactional systems like iterative process have steps that replicate several times over various data objects. What is REFramework? The Robotic Enterprise Framework is a state machine-based project template. The template includes several ready-to-use state containers for launching applications, retrieving data, processing it, and closing the transaction. These states are linked together by a series of transactions that cover almost every requirement in a typical automation scenario. Several workflows have been triggered, each of which deals with a different aspect of project. It's designed to incorporate all of the industry's best practices for logging, exception management, application initialization, and other areas, showing it to handle even the most complex business situations. Let's look at the features of REFramework. The three features are settings, logging, and business application exception. Settings. During the initialization phase of several processes, some configuration settings and configuration values are frequently read, like URLs to the web application, orchestrator queue names, and default logging messages. The REFramework maintains a track of this information by reading it from a configuration file and storing it in a different dictionary object shared by all states. Instead of updating workflows directly, this provides a simple way to manage projects by adjusting values in the configuration file. Logging. The built-in logging mechanism is another helpful feature of REFramework. The majority of system workflows use log message activities to output information about what is happening at each stage of execution. This can be used to not only identify problems and aid in the debugging process, but also to generate visualization and reports about the process execution, like how many invoices are handled every day, how many failures occur, and what are the critical causes of this failure. Business and application execution. There may be conditions that occur during the execution of most processes that are not part of the usual execution flow and must be resolved to achieve more efficient automation. If the issue can be resolved by restarting application, the framework will do so automatically and attempt to process the transaction again. Such exceptions are known as application exception. If the issue is with the data or an underlying business requirement, the system skips the transaction and moves to the next. Such exceptions are known as business exception. Let's look at the REFramework architecture. The REFramework is implemented as a state machine, which is a form of workflow with two advantageous characteristics: states and transitions. Actions to be taken in response to the stated input are described by states. Transitions that switch the execution from one state to another based on the results of the state. There are four key states in REFramework, that is, initial state, get transaction data, process transaction, and end process. Initial state, initialization, this is the point at which the procedure begins. It's an event where the process initializes the settings and runs application tests to ensure that all of the prerequisites for the process start are met. So initialization transitions. So there are two transitions, system exception and successful. When a system error is not nothing, it gets transitioned to the end process. If we have an application exception during the initialization phase, we don't have enough details to start the process. As a result, we are going to the end process state to wrap it up. Successful. When a system error is nothing, it gets transitioned to get transaction data. If during the initialization we have no error, then we go to the get transaction data. The next state is the get transaction state. This state retrieves the next transaction object. This can be a queue item or a collection item. Transaction items are queue items by default, but this can be modified to meet your needs. This is also the state where the developer can set the condition to exit the state when there are no items to process. Get transaction data transitions. There are two transitions, no data and new transaction. No data, if the transaction item is nothing, then we are at the end of our data collection, so we go to the end process. New transaction data. If the transaction item contains data, then we process it. Next state is the process transaction state. The process transaction state, for the transaction item obtained in the previous step, It performs actions and applies logic in various applications. If a transaction item has been processed, the process moves on to the next transaction item that is available. So there are three process transaction transitions: success, business exception, and system exception. In success, if the condition is business rule exception is nothing and system error is nothing, then the transition to get transaction data. If there is a business rule exception, it is logged and we move on to the next transition. Business exception. If the business rule exception is not nothing, then it gets transitioned to get transaction data. If we have a business rule exception, we log it and move to the next transaction by going to the get transaction data state. System exception. If we have an application exception, we close all programs, kill them if they fail to complete, take a screenshot at the moment the exception happened and go to init, where we reinitialize our working environment and begin a new form of transaction that has failed. And finally, we have the end process state. The procedure is completed and the application opened during the automation are closed in the end process state. Since this is the last state, the final state, there are no transition available in the end process state. We'll explore each one of the states in detail in the demo. Let's see the demo now. In this demo, we will see how to dispatch data from the Excel file. Then we will create queue items and process these items, and then we will understand the working of each state in the Robotic Enterprise framework in detail. So let's get started. First, we will go to the orchestrator and create a queue. Enter cloud platform.ui. Sign up, then go to the orchestrator, the tenant which you have created. Select the folder context, go to the folder context, and you can see queues here. Go to the queues and you can see an option to add here. Click on add and enter a queue name. I'll enter it as REF. Enter any description if you want. Give unique reference yes and add. And you can see a queue is been added. So you can add an asset as well. To add an asset, you can go to add, click here add, and enter the asset name. And select the type, whatever is required, say boolean. Let by default be it as false. Then create. So this is how you create an asset. So let's go to the UiPath Studio. So what we are basically doing is we are building two processes. One to feed a queue in the orchestrator, that is a dispatcher process, and one to process transaction from the queue, that is using the Robotic Enterprise framework. So in dispatcher process, what we do is we get entries from an Excel file and add them as a queue items in the orchestrator. We have already created a queue. We started project as a sequence and added a try catch. We started with the sequence, added a try catch activity in the try block. We used a read range activity to read first 10 lines from A1 to C11 from an Excel file and store them in a newly created data table variable. We used for each row to loop through the rows of the data table variable and add each of them in a queue using the add queue item activity. Then we used a log message. We used log message activity to log the fact that the dispatching process was successful. That is how we created the dispatcher process. Now we'll create a performer using Robotic Enterprise framework. What it does is it gets items from the queue and processes them. So in the dispatcher process, let's go to the initialization state first. So we'll understand initialization state in detail. So the entire init block is kept inside the try catch. If you go to the documents here, and if you go to the data folder, you can see a config file here. So config file, this is the file we use in the init state. It has 3 sheets: settings, constants, and assets. You can give any values whatever you want. For maximum retry number, the value should be 0. When you're working with the orchestrator queues, the value should be 0. So this config file is stored in the data folder. And it has 3 sheets: settings, constants, and assets. This is the queue name, process ABC queue. So let's get back to the framework. So we are initializing system error. If the error is nothing, it will go to the next state. If first run read local configuration file. You can see by default there are many variables created. You should know them and utilize them whenever required. The config variable, the value type is dictionary type. Config is nothing. If you go here, you can see here config is nothing. Initially there is no value, so initially config is nothing. Then it will invoke init all settings workflow. Let's open this first run. So it will invoke init all settings workflow. To see this workflow, click on open workflow. It has 3 arguments. It has 3 arguments: in config file, in config sheets, and out config. This is of type string, and out config is of type dictionary. And direction, this is both are input and this is out. Let's open the workflow and understand. So basically what this workflow does is, this workflow outputs a setting dictionary with a key value pairs to be used in the project. Settings are referred from the local config file and then fetched from the orchestrator assets. Assets will override the config file settings. Init all settings workflow invoke to initialize all settings and data for application and process used. In this part, the setting constant and assets in the config file from the data folder are read in the initialize all settings. So let's go back. If the orchestrator queue name from the configuration file in the argument case is specified, then it provides a backward compatibility. Next we have invoke kill process. If we go to the arguments here, we can see the orchestrator queue name. You can assign a queue name here if you have created a queue. So invoke kill process. Next we have invoke kill process. It is a logging activity called killing process. Depending on the project, you can add activity. It is a logging activity called killing process. Depending on the project, you can add activities. Add log fields. In add log fields, if you want to add any details in the log file, then you can do it using all log fields. Init all applications. Workflow, in this workflow, invoke to open apps and check the status, credentials, and so on. And that there are 2 transitions in this. When it is successful, it gets transition to get transaction data. When there is a system exception, it goes to the end process. So in short, what initialization state does is, at the end of this workflow, that is the initialization state, it reads the config file and stores the key and value inside the dictionary. That is the out config. Out config dictionary variable has all config Excel file data. Let's see the get transaction data. When you are in the orchestrator and you want to immediately stop a job for some reason, when the job is stopped, this activity gets activated. There is a variable created should stop. If it's a boolean variable, by default it's false. When it gets activated, the value becomes yes. Then it will go to the log stop message as stop process requested. And it will end the process when the transaction item is nothing. Else it will go to the try get transaction data. Here it has 7 arguments. And let's see the workflow. Invoke get transaction data workflow. Click on open workflow. It gets the data from the spreadsheets, databases, email, web API or UiPath server queues. If no new data items, then set out the transaction item to nothing. If a new transaction item is retrieved, then it gets the additional information about it. It gives the condition where out transaction item is not nothing, then it will add the transaction information to the log fields. It is about the get transaction data workflow. In process transaction state, the process is a sequence with a try catch activity set to catch both system exceptions and business exceptions. Inside the try block, the process transaction workflow invoke that has simple process like to attach the UI demo application and 3 type intro activities to fill in and click accept button. And if you see, look at the transitions, it has 3 transitions: system exception whose destination is the initialization state, business exception goes back to the get transaction data, and success it goes to the get transaction data. Finally, the end process state where the application is closed. What is Excel automation? Excel automation is a task automation involving Excel files. Studio X enables the creation of automation project involving various types of data from an Excel file using various specialized activities. To create an Excel automation, we must use Excel file resource when creating a new project that includes Excel. An Excel file must be specified within it so that all of the subsequent actions can access the data contained within that file. Why use an Excel automation? UiPath allows you to automate Excel in various ways such as Excel application scope activities and workbook activities. Excel automation simplifies your application by performing tasks such as formatting cells, updating values, and running macros automatically. Excel tasks in automated process can also be integrated with several other functions across the enterprise using an RPA solution. The benefit of Excel automation in general is that it can save people many hours spent manually completing tasks. Advantages of Excel automation. Productivity. Excel automation provides higher production rates and increased productivity. Efficiency. Some of the functions of Excel can easily create automated tasks and custom logic with functions like macros. Macros are an excellent way to save time on predictable, repetitive tasks. Hence, Excel automation is efficient. Better product quality. Excel automation improves quality in several ways, including eliminating human error, increasing consistency and accuracy, the ability to create more complex projects, and the detection of mistakes along the way. Improved safety. Excel allows you to protect your work, whether it's to prevent someone from opening a workbook without a password, to grant read-only access to a workbook, or to simply preserve a worksheet so you don't delete any data. Reduced labor. Excel automation will perform all the repetitive tasks more accurately and productively than humans, thus reduces labor. Reduced lead time. A lead time is the amount of time that elapses between the start and finish of a process. Excel automation reduces the lead time. Let's look how to install an Excel package. Let's jump into the UiPath Studio. To install an Excel package, go to the Manage Packages. You can see the packages that are installed. Go to All Packages and search for UiPath Excel Activities. By default, an updated version will be installed. If the Excel package is not installed, you can install it from here. So in my device, this activity is already installed. This is the place from where you can install any activities or any packages. Let's see some of the commonly used Excel activities. These are some of the commonly used Excel activities: read range, select range, save workbook, autofill range, copy paste range, insert and delete columns. So inserting a column at the specified location in a sheet or a table or a range. And to delete a column, you can delete it from a specified range or the table. There are filters, filter table. So what filters does is you can use the filter action to create a filter in a range table or a sheet based on the values in a single column. We also have VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP, which stands for vertical lookup, is an Excel feature that when enabled searches and retrieves data from a specified column. We will explore all of these activities in the demo section in detail. Let's look at the demo. In this demo, we have an Excel sheet that has a record of COVID cases in 5 states of India in 2021. So we will create an Excel automation to represent the number of cases in charts. It's easy to understand looking at the charts rather than looking at the huge numbers. Then we will upload the file on the drive. So let's jump into the UiPath Studio and get started. This is the Excel file which I have created. It has all the number of cases in these 5 states in the year 2021, in the month of Jan, Feb, March and April. All this record I have taken it from a website called prsindia.org. So I have 2 sheets, sheet 1 and sheet 2. So let's jump into the UiPath Studio. To start off with the demo, we need to have the 3 packages installed. One is the UiPath Excel Activities package. The other one is UiPath gsuite.activities. This package is used for drive, to upload on the drive. Then the other package is Balareva Excel Activities. This package is used for bar graph and pie chart. So after installing these 3 packages, we'll get started. So let's create a new sequence. Name it as sequence 2. So first we'll drag and drop an Excel application scope. So Excel application scope, what it does is it opens an Excel workbook and sets the scope for Excel activities. When this activity is completed, the specified workbook and the Excel application are closed. When the workbook application variable is specified in the output workbook activities field, the spreadsheet is not closed. After this, drag and drop a create table activity. So by default we have sheet 1 and enter the range. So the range is in this Excel sheet, the range is from A1 to F5. So enter the range. For this, we need to enter the file path. So we'll select the file. So we have selected the file. We have entered the table name, say number of cases. So once this much is done, next we'll drag and drop a bar chart. Drop it outside the Excel application scope and select the file path. So select the file. So select the file, select this cell range, that is the same range what we had entered earlier, A1 to F5. So once that is done, give the chart title, say cases,
And you can select the chart type, bar stack, 3D clustered, 3D stacked, whatever is required. For now we'll select bar cluster. You have many other options to explore. Data label type, we'll keep it in show value so that it shows the value, and select show value. If you want show percentage, then select percentage. We'll select show legend, and size. You can vary the size accordingly, how much ever you want. So I'll keep the size as 350 to 350. You can change the width. So the bar chart is done, and you can enter the sheet. Which sheet are you using? So it's sheet 1. Now we'll drag and drop pie chart. Select the file. Similarly, enter the options here. Enter the cell range, the same range. A1 is to F5. Show percent will show value. Show legend. Select show value. And select the sheet which you want. We'll select the sheet 2. So done. So we have completed till here. Next we need to upload this on the Google Drive. So we'll select this option, upload file. Select the file. So we have selected the file. So select the destination folder. For that, go to your Google Drive account. So we'll go there. So in my drive, I have created a folder called Excel Automation. So I'll copy this URL till here, not the entire. Copy this and go to your UiPath Studio and paste it in the destination folder with the double quotes. Then create a variable and create a variable as file. Oops, there is an error. We have forgotten to use a G Suite application. This can be only used inside a G Suite application. So drag and drop a G Suite application, and inside G Suite application we'll write this. So the error is gone. So we'll run the file now. We'll save it and we'll run. You can see the file is getting run. So the execution is ended. We will navigate to the drive. So here you can see the file is successfully uploaded. We'll open the file. It's working on the graph. Here you go. Here you can see the bar graph for the sheet 1 with the values, number of values, and each state wise. And for sheet 2, we created a pie chart. So here you go, here you can see the pie chart.
In this video, we will be looking at the robotic process automation example. The first example is customer service. Let's look at the problem statement. A customer representative must understand and solve the customer queries, carry out the necessary actions by switching between the various softwares and applications, and inform the customer. This must wait while the representative is busy dealing with data, sometimes asking for information that has already been requested. This tends to decrease customer satisfaction and extends call duration. The solution requires identifying frequently asked customer questions, assessing customer representative actions in response to those questions, and developing RPA solutions to facilitate those questions. When several sets of information need to be coordinated across systems, the customer service representative can launch a bot. The bot completes all actions in seconds with the press of a button. For frequently asked questions, a dashboard can be created. A customer service representative will fill out the necessary information to receive the queries, and bots will use that data in multiple systems to complete the transaction. Let's look at an example. Consider a scenario where a company was providing support to the client, and the company was supposed to handle a large number of calls, approximately 20,000 calls per month, which required a significant amount of time spent in the support team. Because of the system's complexity, an executive's average time was about 10 minutes, as the system was inefficient and slow, resulting in a poor customer service. With the RPA solution, the organization gained a virtual team that can complete the task in less than a minute, resulting in a drastic reduction in an execution time. The RPA bot performs the following tasks: loading a comprehensive customer profile, obtaining a detailed billing information, user preferences and other user information are being updated, resolving common but simple customer issues. Let's look at the second example, financial service. Financial service involves compiling and combining financial information from various departments and storing the records in a system. Data is manually extracted from a bank statements to reconcile documents and link them to its forms using detailed spreadsheets. To complete the reports, business rely on Excel, legacy software, and manual labor, which is tedious and time-consuming. Solution: robots can generate invoices in seconds, prompting clients to pay more quickly. RPA in financial services tracks and standardizes and validates payments, processes orders and avoids errors, and is always on top of things. Such a disciplined assistant makes the customer's experience less stressful, adding value to the service provider. RPA in finance eliminates the need for endless email correspondence and ensures a smooth payment approval process, matches invoices to responsible parties, and sets deadline reminders. Automated data entry speeds up the process and relieves human employees of huge tasks. This enables precise and structured invoice processing. Consider a financial service company that's having difficulty extracting data from financial documents efficiently and accurately in order to generate ratings. Using RPA, company implemented an application that recognized and processed data. This enabled the client to quickly and cost-effectively automate. The tasks performed by RPA bots in financial service are investment management, reconciliation of bank statements, organizing the finances, record of accounts receivables and pay. The third example is HR service. This operation includes numerous routine steps such as interview scheduling, record keeping, resume screening, candidate shortlisting, induction training, and onboarding. Hiring and firing place a significant burden on HR and other support functions such as IT, security, and facilities management, particularly for medium and large businesses. While it is expensive to build a solution that encompasses all of these functions and completes the necessary tasks for new or departing employees, some employees can be sloppy with recording absences, vacation, or in general, using the existing absence management system. So the possible solution for this is RPA can be used to collect and screen resumes and online application forms, conduct through background checks, and compare the information to all relevant job requisitions. This allows the best candidates to be shortlisted. RPA can be used quickly to create offer letters for new employees that are both personalized and accurate. It can also validate records by cross-checking data such as absentees reports against time logged in the corporate network and alerting when information is missing or inconsistent. Talent acquisition team of a company automated aspects of onboarding process for new employees. Previously, the onboarding paperwork was completed manually by one person, consuming a significant amount of employees' time that could have been spent on more valuable work. This type of work that no one wants to do day after day. The company understands that an HR department wants to provide a digital and straightforward experience. The task required a lot of copy and paste activities. With the implementation of RPA, the bot completed the onboarding paperwork in less time, allowing HRs to spend more time on corporate social responsibilities, hiring talent, initiatives, and improving a company's reputation. The tasks performed by RPA bots in HR service are screening resumes, onboarding of new hires, attendance management, induction and training, employment management, and survey report. The fourth example is telecom service. The telecommunications industry involves high frequency of manual, repetitive, rules-based processes, all of which are critical for providing appropriate service delivery. Thus, the foundation of telecommunications is made up of processes that are highly amenable to automation. For telecommunication companies looking to improve their customer service, high reliability and accuracy of process outcomes are required. Solution: the use of robotic process automation in telecom reduces error rates to close to zero, improves data quality, improves customer service, and increases operational efficiency, all while contributing significantly to cost reduction. RPA technology can capture the business process task performed by a telecom company's employees. Based on the employee's action, a well-structured workflow can be generated, which serves as the foundation for automated process. By mapping each process step with its significant cost for manual execution, it is simple to determine which action should be automated to maximize return on the investment. Consider an example: a telecommunications and media company decided to automate its order creation and service removal process to cut costs associated with the company's speed booster discount service and deal with a massive amount of transactional data. With the implementation of RPA, it becomes simple to automate the order build process and service removal activity. The tasks performed by RPA bots in telecom service are: it checks on the credit and SIM card swapping, resolution of customer complaints, porting customer phone numbers, responding to questions from partners. The fifth example is healthcare service. Healthcare systems contain numerous burdensome tasks that involve significant resource allocation, such as claim management. This results in high operational cost and slow process. Every industry has inefficiencies, but few face the healthcare industry's challenges. Strict regulations regarding patient data and lack of resources to deal with such rules. Billing takes time after a healthcare service is provided due to manual and repetitive tasks in the management process. Management process include document and data input, processing, and evaluation in addition to the automating time-consuming tasks. Patients can schedule appointments without the intervention of hospital employees, credit to RPA technology. Along with eliminating the need of resource allocation for scheduling, by allowing patients to reschedule appointments more quickly, this application can improve customer relations. RPA allows healthcare providers to track and document each process step in structured log files to comply with external audits. RPA improves data confidentiality because bots handle this process. Let's consider an example. Daily, a healthcare organization deals with the process of patient transaction data, customer detail recording, claims to the process, and data reconciliation for healthcare schemes are some of the manual processes they must streamline daily. The primary goal was to increase the efficiency of existing approaches to achieve greater accuracy with reduced turnaround time. Robotic process automation was implemented and the most significant possible impact was obtained. RPA platform handled claims processing and health data reconciliation program. Healthcare was able to reduce turnaround time with this solution. The tasks performed by RPA bots in healthcare service are appointment scheduling, regulatory compliance, data entry, and supporting analytics to improve treatment.
So with that, we have come to the end of this full course tutorial. If you enjoyed watching it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Thank you so much for being here. Watch out for more videos from us. Until then, keep learning and stay tuned to Simplilearn.